Jake, you're going to love this, she said, practically bouncing in her seat. We upgraded to the Maldives. All-inclusive, overwater villa, plunge pool, everything. Grandma would have wanted us to enjoy it. I blinked. Grandma left that money for both of us. Well, technically she left it in a joint account. And technically I'm the one who handled all the paperwork when she passed. My mom, already 2 glasses deep into a Chardonnay haze, nodded like this was a perfectly reasonable explanation for robbing her only sibling. She did do a lot of the organizing, Jake. She stole $10,000. I said flatly. Organized it right out of the account. You weren't going to do anything with it. My sister shrugged. What, were you going to invest it? Put it toward your little podcast? It's not little, I said through gritted teeth. I have sponsors. Real ones. And it's the only reason I'm not still living in my car. Still feels like a phase, she said, waving her fork like that ended the debate. Besides, Greg and I needed it more. We work so hard. Greg. Husband number 2. Man-shaped wallpaper. He offered a thumbs up from the head of the table, where he was busy cutting his turkey into perfect geometric cubes. I looked at my dad, hoping for backup. But he was busy hiding behind a mashed potato mountain like a coward. No one said a word. Not one person in my own family had a problem with this daylight robbery. So I stood up, grabbed the gravy boat like it was a weapon, and said, You know what? Grandma didn't leave me money. She left me something better. My sister scoffed. What, a moral compass? No, I said. A secret. About you. The table fell silent. Forks paused midair. Even Greg stopped chewing. I took a breath, locked eyes with her, and said, Let's talk about Vegas. 2019, shall we? She went white. She laughed, but it sounded hollow. Vegas? You're seriously bringing up that bachelorette trip from 6 years ago? What are you even talking about? Oh, come on, I said, folding my arms. You thought it'd never come back to bite you? That the world forgot just because you married someone new and got a fresh Instagram aesthetic? Her eyes flicked nervously toward Greg, who was now very much alert. What is he talking about? Nothing, she said quickly. Too quickly. Jake's just mad. He does this when he's mad. Remember when he faked pneumonia to get out of helping us move? I had pneumonia. I snapped. Also, I didn't fake a damn thing. But sure, let's talk about me. Anything to keep the attention off the fact that you drained our grandmother's money like a parasite with a debit card. I didn't drain anything. Really? I pulled out my phone and scrolled quickly, tapping the screen once before holding it up. Because this is the withdrawal slip. From the shared account. Dated 2 days before you and Greg flew out. Your name. Your signature. And look at that, 10 grand gone. My dad squinted at the screen, then said the most dad thing imaginable. Well, that looks like a lot of zeros. Greg leaned forward, frowning. Wait, you took the honeymoon money from your grandma's will? She said she wouldn't mind. My sister snapped. She always said we should go somewhere beautiful. She also said you were the most manipulative person she'd ever met. I added helpfully. And that was before you tried to sell her upright piano on Facebook Marketplace while she was in hospice. That was a misunderstanding. You posted 23 photos, Samantha. Greg's face was slowly transforming from confusion to concern. Why didn't you tell me any of this? Because it wasn't important, she cried. What's important is we're married, we're happy, and Jake's just bitter he doesn't have a +1 to Thanksgiving. Oh, don't worry about that, I said, smiling now. My +1's coming. She's just parking the car. Samantha's jaw dropped. She? My mom looked up from her wine, blinking hard. Wait, you're seeing someone? The doorbell rang. Perfect timing. I grinned. Yup, I said, walking toward the hallway. And I think it's time everyone met her. I opened the door and there she was, Amelia, in all her 6-foot, boot-wearing, leather-jacketed glory. Her hair was tied up in a messy bun that somehow made her look both like a rock star and a librarian who could kick your ass in trivia. She smiled at me with that familiar glint, holding up a pie like a prize. Apple bourbon, she said. Your mom said it was your grandma's favorite. You're perfect. I said, loud enough for the audience in the dining room. She raised an eyebrow. Do I smell drama? Oh yeah, I whispered. Come meet my vultures. Back in the dining room, jaws were dropping like flies. Amelia entered with a quiet confidence that screamed, I pay my taxes early and know where your pressure points are. She set the pie down neatly on the table. Hi, she said, all warm politeness. I'm Amelia, Jake's girlfriend. The silence was divine. Greg blinked rapidly. My mom had started fanning herself with a paper napkin. Samantha, meanwhile, looked like she just swallowed a mouthful of lemon juice and betrayal. Oh, she said, voice a little too high. Hi. That's new. We've been together about a year, Amelia said calmly, pulling out a chair like this wasn't a scene from a family horror film. I'm sorry I'm late. Parking was murder. You all have such a lovely home. Samantha looked at me like I'd broken a sacred pact. You never told us you were dating someone. Kind of hard to bring it up in between being gaslit and robbed, I said, reaching for a roll. Amelia smiled at my sister with the warmth of someone who could dismantle a person emotionally in under 5 sentences. And you must be Samantha, she said sweetly. Jake's told me so much about you. Samantha blinked. Oh? All good things, of course, Amelia said. Then added under her breath, but just loud enough. By comparison. My mom forced a laugh. So what do you do, Amelia? I'm a software engineer, she said. But I also volunteer at a wildlife rehab center. Jake helps me sometimes. He's very good at feeding injured owls. I'm basically a bird nurse, I added helpfully. Greg, bless his beautifully dumb soul, laughed. Man, I don't even know how to talk to owls. That's okay, Amelia said. They don't talk back. Unlike some people. Another silence. Shorter. Sharper. That was when Samantha snapped. You know what? She said loudly, standing up. This whole thing is a setup. Jake's just parading her around to make a point. He's bitter. He always has been. And now he's dragging his girlfriend into it. I came for the pie, Amelia said. Your brother just happens to be delicious revenge frosting. And then Samantha knocked over her wineglass. Red, of course. It splashed across Grandma's tablecloth. The table froze. Greg looked up wide-eyed. Babe, chill. But Samantha didn't chill. She exploded. You always do this! Samantha shrieked, gesturing at me like I'd just kicked her dog. Every single time I get something good, you swoop in with your sad little sob story and try to ruin it. God forbid I have one dinner where I'm not being ambushed. Ambushed? I repeated. You stole 10 grand and lied about it. That's not a good thing, that's identity theft with extra steps. Greg muttered. Wait, is that a crime? But no one paid him any attention. Samantha pointed a shaky finger at Amelia. And you? You don't even know this family. Who do you think you are, walking in here with your smug little pie and your rehab owls like you're better than us? Amelia leaned back in her chair, completely unbothered. I think I'm someone who didn't steal inheritance money, insult a man's career, or fake cry at Grandma's funeral for sympathy likes on Facebook. You said you wouldn't bring that up. Samantha screeched. Correction, I said, grabbing my glass. You said that. I never agreed. My mom finally stood up, slurring slightly. Everybody please. This is a holiday. Can't we just toast and start over? Nope, I said, raising my glass. But I will toast. To Amelia. For showing up. For having my back. And for knowing what to do with an owl when it flies into a windshield. To owls? Greg added, confused but committed. Amelia clinked her glass with mine. And to not getting steamrolled by people who mistake blood for permission. That's when Samantha lunged. No warning. No dramatic monologue. Just a sudden, deeply unhinged reach across the table that sent cutlery flying and my mom yelping into the potato salad. She was going for my phone, maybe, or Amelia, or my soul, unclear. But what she grabbed was the gravy boat. It sloshed. It slipped. And it launched. Gravy, brown, thick, scalding hot, wet, airborne like a meat-scented comet. It hit the wall behind Amelia with a splat loud enough to silence even my dad, who'd been hiding in his dinner roll for the past 20 minutes. Amelia looked at the wall, then at Samantha. "I hope that wasn't a metaphor," she said. "Because it missed." My mom burst into tears. "This was supposed to be a nice dinner. I made the sweet potatoes from scratch." Samantha dropped the gravy boat and ran upstairs, full Real Housewives exit, stomping like the floor had insulted her personally. Greg sighed. "I should probably go after her." "I'd wait till she cools down," I said. "She's at maximum gravy velocity right now." He nodded. "Fair." My dad finally looked up. "I always liked you, Amelia." Amelia smiled. "Thanks, Ken. I liked your toast." The room sat in stunned, potato-covered silence. And that's when I made my next mistake. I stood up, cleared my throat, and said, "That's not the only secret I've been keeping." Every eye turned to me. Greg paused mid-sip of sparkling apple cider. My mom sniffled, dabbing her tears with a napkin that now resembled a crime scene. My dad raised one weary eyebrow like a man praying this wasn't about to become his problem. "And Amelia?" She just nodded, encouraging, like, "Yup, it's time, babe. Burn it down." I took a breath. "I'm not just dating Amelia. We're engaged." My mom gasped so hard I thought she might swallow her wine glass. "Engaged? When? How? She's so, how long?" 10 months, I said. "We got engaged 3 weeks ago. I proposed at the rehab center. She was feeding a goose with a neck injury. It felt symbolic." "A goose?" my dad muttered. "That's not romantic. That's poultry." "It was perfect," Amelia said, smiling at me. He taped the ring box to the goose's back. There was a system. It waddled at her. I added, "Very majestic." "Did the goose say yes?" Greg asked, deadly serious. "It hissed," Amelia replied. Which is goose for obviously. Samantha's voice echoed from upstairs like a curse being hurled by an ancient witch. "Are you kidding me?" She stomped back into the room, hair wild, eyes red, and holding her wedding album. "I'm not letting you hijack this dinner with your news," she growled, slamming the album down on the table. "This is my day. This was supposed to be about my honeymoon. My marriage. My happiness." "Was it?" I said calmly. "Because all I've heard tonight is how much you've taken from everyone else to keep that illusion alive." She opened her mouth to retort, but I cut her off. "Grandma's money? Gone. Your dignity? Hanging by a thread. And your moral compass? Spinning like a ceiling fan during an exorcism." My mom, ever the peacemaker, tried once more to wave a metaphorical white flag made of soggy stuffing. "Let's not compare weddings, okay? Everyone's relationship is special in its own way." "No, see, that's the thing," Amelia said, standing now too. "Jake didn't propose to compete with anyone. He proposed because he loves me. And because we actually like each other, which seems to be rare around here." Samantha sneered. "That's rich coming from a woman whose fiancé once spent 3 months living in a storage unit." Amelia blinked. "You mean when he was trying to save up to launch his podcast? The one that now pays our rent?" Greg leaned forward again. "Wait, you do that paranormal true crime show? Dead serious?" I blinked. "You listen?" "Dude, every night. It's how I fall asleep." "Thank you," I said, not entirely sure how to feel about that. My mom squinted. "Paranormal? Like ghosts?" I nodded. "And unsolved murders. Occasionally goats." "I thought you just edited wedding videos," she whispered. "Nope," I said. "But thanks for assuming my dreams were that uninspired." "You're just making stuff up now," Samantha snapped. "None of this is real. You're trying to rewrite history and make yourself look good because I happen to be the one who's successful." Amelia stepped between us, slow and steady. "No," she said. "He's not rewriting history. He's just done pretending that yours is the only story that matters." And with that, she reached down and closed Samantha's wedding album. The sound of that album shutting was biblical. Samantha gasped like Amelia had just unplugged her life support. "You do not get to close my wedding album. It's been open for 5 years," Amelia said, brushing gravy flakes off her sleeve. "Maybe it's time." my dad mumbled. Maybe we should all open another bottle. And wandered toward the kitchen like he was heading into exile. Greg looked back and forth between us, torn between defending his wife and whatever personal survival instincts he had left. I can't believe this, Samantha hissed, rounding the table like she was warming up for a cage match. You've been lying to us for a year, and you just dropped the engagement bomb like it's a party favor? I met her at the head of the table, where Grandma's ceramic angel centerpiece still stood like a smug porcelain referee. No, I didn't lie. I withheld. You know, the way you did when you pretended your second marriage was this grand love story, after cheating on your first husband. The air got sucked out of the room so fast, I thought the walls might cave in. Samantha blinked. You promised you'd never bring that up. I shrugged. Funny how promises work. Especially when they're made under duress and tequila. Greg sat straighter. Wait. You cheated on Andrew? She spun on him like a tornado in designer boots. It wasn't like that. How was it? It was nuanced, she said weakly. Was it nuanced on the cruise? Or in the Uber to your boss's house? Or wait, what was it? Oh yeah, the emotional connection that just couldn't be ignored. My mom made a choke sound, part sob, part hiccup. I thought we weren't going to bring up the cruise again. You thought wrong, Mom. Samantha turned to me, voice shaking. You think this makes you look good? Dragging up old dirt? You think people will suddenly see you as better than me? No, I said softly. I think they'll finally see me as real. As someone who's done trying to edit himself just to keep the peace. Jake. My mom started. Please. I'm not done, I said, raising a hand. Greg looked dazed. You told me Andrew cheated on you. She looked like she might cry, but didn't. Instead, she tried one last Hail Mary. You know what, Jake? Fine. Get married. Wear matching owl-themed wedding rings for all I care. But don't pretend you're not bitter. You were always jealous of me. I laughed. It came out loud and involuntary. Jealous? You think I want your life? The secret fights? The overdrawn credit cards? The curated happiness that cracks like cheap laminate under the first sign of stress? Her lip quivered. And you know what? I added. If you really believed I was irrelevant, you wouldn't be fighting so hard to prove you're better. That's not confidence, Sam. That's insecurity in heels. The room sat in silence. Finally, Greg muttered. I feel like I shouldn't be here. You shouldn't. Amelia agreed. But since you are, would you mind passing the rolls? He did. Because Greg may be clueless, but he is very good at bread-based tension diffusal. Samantha, silent now, picked up her wineglass. She stared into it like it held all the answers. Then she threw back the whole thing in one gulp. I sat down beside Amelia again, hand finding hers under the table. No more secrets. No more shrinking. Jake? My mom said softly. When's the wedding? Amelia grinned. Next month, she said. And you're invited. The words hit like a record scratch on a Spotify playlist. My mom blinked. Wait, invited? Like to attend? As in, be there? Amelia smiled. That's usually how weddings work. My dad wandered back in, holding a bottle of Cabernet and 2 glasses. You're inviting us to the wedding? After all this? Yeah, I said, glancing around the room. Despite the chaos. Despite the gravy assault. Despite the unresolved trauma passed down like a cursed casserole recipe, yeah? I'm inviting you. My mom looked like someone had offered her a second chance and a loaded gun at the same time. I don't know what to say. You could start with I'm sorry. I offered. For never taking me seriously. For treating me like the backup plan. For pretending Samantha was the only child with a future. She opened her mouth, but for once, maybe the first time in my life, no defense came out. Just silence. Heavy. Honest. I'm sorry, she said at last. I thought I was encouraging you by pushing you harder. I didn't realize I was making you feel like you didn't matter. Cool, I said, not quite able to keep the bite out of my voice. Took 32 years and 1 airborne gravy boat, but we got there. Amelia squeezed my hand. Can I come to the wedding too? Greg asked timidly. I promise not to say anything unless someone brings up birds. You're on napkin duty, Amelia said. We need a guy who folds like a pro. I do origami, he said proudly. Samantha stared down at the table, her mascara flaking slightly, lips pressed into a line. Are you seriously rewarding them for ambushing us with this whole performative circus? No one's rewarding anyone, my dad said. They just stopped hiding. Maybe you should try it. That shut her up faster than anything else that night. My dad turned to me. I want to come. Even if it's awkward. Even if it means admitting I was wrong about a lot of things. I'm tired of pretending I don't see you, Jake. That cracked something in me. A tiny piece of armor I didn't realize I'd been holding on to. I'd like that, I said. Just don't talk politics during the ceremony. Wouldn't dream of it, he said. Although if anyone asks, I do believe owls are government spies. You joke, Amelia whispered. But there's a whole Reddit thread. Let's not, I said quickly. My mom dabbed at her face with a napkin and turned to Amelia. I don't know you. I want to. And I'm sorry for not making room for you sooner. Amelia nodded. I can work with that. Even Samantha, sulking like a demoted queen, finally looked up. What's the dress code? I blinked. Excuse me? She rolled her eyes. If I'm coming, I need to know what level of effort we're pretending not to make. Amelia and I exchanged a glance. Garden formal, she said slowly. But like cool garden formal. Think British librarian with a mysterious past. Samantha gave the faintest nod. Fine. But I'm not bringing a gift. Unless I can Venmo it. We accept passive aggression in all forms, I said. By now, the food was cold. The gravy was on the wall. But somehow, we were okay. We weren't healed. Not by a long shot. But we were moving. Together. And in the end, that was enough. The wedding took place on a crisp October afternoon in the garden behind Amelia's aunt's house. String lights swayed overhead, the scent of cider and rosemary in the air, and just enough wind to keep things dramatic without knocking over the cake. And somehow, my family showed up. Not perfectly. Not without tension. But they came. My dad wore a suit that didn't quite fit and shook Nathan's hand like he meant it. My mom fussed over the seating chart, loudly worrying she'd ruin the vibe, until Amelia handed her a bouquet and said, Congratulations, you're now the unofficial flower captain. Even Samantha came. In heels far too ambitious for grass, sunglasses on like she was shielding herself from emotions. She brought Greg, who whispered to me during the ceremony. Bro. This is like a really nice wedding. Like HGTV nice. We didn't have bridesmaids or groomsmen. Just Candace, our all-rehab friend, officiating with her usual chaotic charm. Marriage, she began, isn't just about love. It's about surviving road trips without murder. It's about sharing fries and Wi-Fi passwords. It's about finding someone who knows you're weird and says, yeah, I'll take that. Everyone laughed. Amelia's vows came first. She looked at me with that sharp, steady gaze that made me fall in love with her the first week. You never asked me to be smaller, she said. You never made me feel like too much. You showed up, with snacks, with sarcasm, with your whole strange, wonderful heart. And you stayed. I had to blink away tears. So I kept mine simple. You make me feel like the main character in my own story. Even when I forget I am. You remind me. Every day. Candace gave us an exaggerated wink and said, By the power vested in me by the state of Illinois and the Bird Sanctuary Board, I now pronounce you weirdos married. We kissed. The robin in the arch chirped approval. Someone, Greg I think, shouted, Owls forever! The reception was warm and chaotic. My mom complimented Amelia's earrings, the vintage owl pair Samantha gave her. As a non-gift. My dad danced with Amelia to an old jazz record, and Samantha watched. Not judging. Just watching. Near the end of the night, she found me by the dessert table. I don't know how to be the version of myself that doesn't compete with you, she said. But I'd like to try. If you'll let me. I nodded quiet. Trying is more than I expected. I can meet you there. And that was it. No big reconciliation. No neat bow. Just effort. After everyone left, Amelia and I sat on the kitchen floor, exhausted and happy, surrounded by leftovers and silence. So, she said, leaning her head on my shoulder, was it worth inviting them? I didn't even have to think about it. Yeah, I said. Not because they changed everything, but because I did. I stopped hiding. And that changed enough. The best revenge was never about making them feel small. It was about showing up fully as myself, and letting them deal with it. That was enough. That was everything.